I was still staring at the promotion email when everything started to unravel. 1 second I was alone in my quiet Pittsburgh apartment, trying to believe the number on the screen was real. The next, my parents were hammering on my door like the building was on fire. I should have known something was wrong right there. Marlene went in first, like she always did, perfume first, words second. My dad, Richard, shuffled in behind her, hands in his jacket pockets, eyes already roaming like he was taking inventory. They set a lopsided store-bought cake on my counter. No card, no candles, just smeared frosting and a discount sticker still stuck to the plastic. They did not hug me. They did not ask what the promotion was for. They did not even say the word, congratulations. My mom sat down at my tiny kitchen table like she owned the lease, folded her hands, and smiled that tight little smile she uses on church ladies when she wants pity. So, she said, dragging out the word, your salary jumped quite a bit. No, how are you? No, tell us everything. Just that. I kept my back straight. Years of practice. Yes, I said. I have worked a long time for this. My dad let out a low whistle. You are doing good, Jess. Better than us, he said. And after everything we have done for you. He left the rest hanging in the air like bait. I have heard that line my whole life. Every school lunch, every ride, every pair of shoes, every form they signed. They stored those moments like receipts in some invisible ledger. Marlene leaned forward, elbows on my table. We think it is fair, she said in that soft, fake gentle voice, that you start contributing to the household. 50% of your salary. Just until we get back on our feet. 50%. Not a small help. Not a one-time gift. Half of everything I had fought for. She said it like it was obvious, like I was late on a bill. My chest tightened. My shoulders pulled back on instinct. Old armor. Old habits. Because in that moment something finally clicked. This was not a visit. It was a collection call. For a second I just looked at them across my own kitchen table. The table I bought with overtime. The table they never helped me pay for, never helped move, never helped assemble. Marlene tapped her nails while she waited, like I was a waiter and she was ready to place an order. Richard leaned back, comfortable, already sure of the answer. That is not how this works, I said. Her smile hardened. Sweetheart, do not be dramatic. Families support each other. Support goes both ways, I said. Richard scoffed. We raised you. We fed you. We kept a roof over your head, he said. You would not be where you are without us. There it was. The script. Word for word. The one they used whenever they wanted something. Textbooks. Rent. Holiday money for gifts they wanted to show off. Back then, I did not have the spine to push back. Tonight, something cleanly snapped. You walked out at 18, my mother said sharply. We did not stop you. We did not ask questions. And now you act like we owe you explanations. I felt my jaw lock. I left, I said, because every breath I took turned into a debt in your hands. Something moved behind her eyes. Not guilt. Annoyance. You are ungrateful, she said. Her favorite word. Richard leaned forward, voice hard. This is not optional, Jess. 50%. Starting next month. You make good money. We deserve to benefit after everything we sacrificed. You did not sacrifice, I said quietly. You survived. That is not the same. His eyes narrowed. We are your parents. You owe us. That was the line that did it. Not the demand. Not the number. Those 4 little words. You owe us. I stood up. Not in anger. Not with shouting. Just slowly, steady, like I was standing up in a courtroom. The chair legs slid softly across the floor. Their eyes followed me as I walked to the counter. My name is Jessica, I thought, and you are not debt collectors. I opened the drawer where I keep spare batteries, pens, and one other thing I never expected to use this way. An envelope, already sealed, already prepared, from a night when a small voice inside told me to get ready. I turned back and held it between my fingers. This, I said, is everything you are really looking for. Marlene's eyes latched onto it like a magpie spotting foil. Richard straightened, ready to receive what he assumed was money, a check. Some proof that they still had a hold on me. They had no idea the floor had already moved out from under them. I placed the envelope on the table. My mother reached for it immediately, but I set my hand on hers. Light. Firm. Before you open it, I said, listen carefully. You do not get to walk into my home and demand half my life. Not anymore. She jerked her hand away. It is just money, Jessica. Do not make this theatrical. Always been dramatic, my dad muttered. Always thought she knew better than everyone. I ignored him. I picked up my phone and stepped back. Dana answered on the second ring. Is it time? She asked. It is, I said. Stick to the plan, she replied. Let them show exactly who they are. I hung up and leaned against the counter, arms folded. Marlene narrowed her eyes. What plan? She snapped. You will see, I said. She tore into the envelope. Papers slid out. Legal paper. Crisp. Notarized. Not money. Not a note. Not an apology. A declaration. Her eyes skimmed the first page. The color started to drain from her face. She read it again. Slower. Richard dragged it closer and squinted at the bottom, at the familiar loops of their own signatures. This is not real, my mother breathed. Oh, it is, I said. You signed it 3 years ago. Richard shook his head. We would never sign this, he said. You did, I answered. Do you remember when you said you wanted to protect my future? When you told me you did not want me held responsible for your financial decisions if something went wrong? You insisted we get a declaration drawn up so I would not be liable for your debts. I tapped the paper. This is that document. Marlene searched her memory, reaching for any door that might let her out. We did not understand what it meant, she said. You understood enough to push it on me, I replied. You understood enough to brag to people that I was standing on my own 2 feet now. But the second you want money, suddenly you were confused. The silence in my kitchen shifted. Heavy. Uneven. Richard slapped the pages down. This does not mean anything, he said. It means everything, I replied. Legally, financially, morally. You have no claim to my income. You never did. Marlene clung to the edges of the paper like she could squeeze a different truth out of it. We did not raise you to be this cruel, she whispered, tears now, cracking in all the practice places. Cruel, I repeated. You heard about my promotion and showed up only to demand half my salary. You did not bring pride. You brought a bill. And now I am the cruel one. Richard shoved his chair back and stood, pointing a shaking finger at me. Do not talk to your mother like that. Then stop treating me like a wallet, I said. For the first time in my life, he had no answer. His mouth opened, then closed again. Marlene slammed the papers down. We will take this to court, she snapped. If you think a few pieces of paper will stop us, you are wrong. You already did, I said. Their heads jerked up. What is that supposed to mean? Richard demanded. You already filed, I said. A petition for financial support from an adult child. I got the notice 2 days ago. The blood drained from my mother's face. Richard went still. And yes, I added, I saw the messages you attached. The ones supposedly from me, promising monthly payments. The number on those texts is 1 digit off mine. You faked them. Marlene reached for her bag with shaking hands. We can explain, she stammered. You will, I said. To a judge. Right then, the buzzer sounded. 3 sharp chimes. My father flinched. My mother gasped. I did not move. A moment later, footsteps walked down the hall. I opened the door. Dana stepped in, neat coat, calm eyes. Beside her, an officer held a folder. Marlene backed up like the walls were closing around her. Good evening, Dana said. We have some documents for Mr. and Mrs. Hale. The officer stepped forward. Marlene and Richard Hale, she asked. My mother shook her head quickly. This is unnecessary. We can handle this as a family. Jessica, tell her. Ma'am, the officer said, you are being served regarding fraudulent evidence submitted in a civil petition and attempts to coerce financial support under false pretenses. Richard's knees wobbled. You cannot do this. We are your parents. Dana looked at him. You needed someone to pay your bills, she said. Jessica needed parents. She did not get any. The sentence landed like a slap. The officer handed them the packet. Legal reality, printed in black and white. You will receive notice of your court date, she said. When the door closed behind them, my apartment felt different. Bigger. Like some heavy thing had finally been dragged out. But it was not over. The hearing room was cold and bright on the morning of the court date. My parents sat at the other table, smaller than I had ever seen them. My mother's eyes were red. My father stared at the floor. Dana stood beside me. Steady. Calm. The judge read the petition out loud, then the list of accusations. My mother burst into tears. We only wanted our daughter to help us, she sobbed. We are in such a difficult place. She abandoned us. Dana stepped forward with a stack of papers. Your Honor, she said, the petitioners own a mortgage-free property and receive steady retirement income. Their claim of hardship is not accurate. She laid down another set of documents. These messages, presented as proof of Jessica's agreement to pay, do not originate from her number. Carrier records confirm they were fabricated. The judge's face darkened as he read. My mother cried harder. Richard muttered something under his breath about disrespect. Then the back door opened. My grandmother, Beatrice, walked in with her cane. The room shifted. The judge invited her to the stand. Her voice, when she spoke, was clear and sharp. Jessica never asked these two for anything, she said. She left home at 18 and took care of herself. They did not support her. They drained her. She does not owe them a thing. My mother turned, horrified. Mom, how could you say that? Grandma did not look at her. Because it is the truth, she said. And I will not go to my grave pretending otherwise. The judge leaned back and let out a slow breath. Given the falsified evidence, the lack of demonstrated hardship, and the testimony we have heard, he said, this petition is dismissed. The court will also impose a fine for submitting fraudulent materials. My mother crumpled. Richard stared straight ahead, as if the wall might give him another answer. Dana put her hand lightly on my arm. Not to celebrate. Just to say, it is done. Outside, the sun hit my face like something I had not felt in years. Warmth without strings. Behind me, on the courthouse steps, my parents stood frozen, small and speechless, holding the papers that finally told them what I had known all along. They had no claim on me. The week after the hearing was quiet in a way I had never experienced. No guilt-soaked messages. No surprise visits. No ringing phone at odd hours. Just silence. I moved to a smaller apartment closer to downtown, high enough that the usual city noise turned into a soft constant hum. I furnished it slowly. A blue velvet chair from a thrift store. A warm amber lamp. A tiny cactus on the windowsill that refused to die. For the first time, every object in my home was something I chose. No one could turn it into a receipt. 3 days after I settled in, a card arrived. Plain beige. Neat handwriting. Beatrice. There was only one sentence inside. You chose truth over fear. I am proud of you. I sat at my little kitchen table, the card pressed against my chest, feeling a kind of love that did not ask for anything back. A week later, another envelope. My mother's handwriting. Shaky. I opened it slowly. Not an apology. People like her rarely apologize. Just complaints about her health, about stress, about how hard things had become, followed by a request for money to help them through a difficult season. No mention of the petition. No mention of the fake messages. No mention of court. Just expectation, dressed up as suffering. I folded the letter once. Then again. Then set it back inside the envelope and dropped it into the trash. My hands were steady. Not long after that, Grandma passed in her sleep. Her lawyer called me later and told me she had left me her small house near Greensburg. I did not move into it. I sold it and sent the money to a local group that helps women escaping financial abuse. It felt like the only way to carry her last gift without carrying the old story. One cool evening, I stood at my window looking out over the river. The city lights spread across the water like scattered coins. For the first time in a very long time, my mind was not replaying arguments or drafting explanations. It was quiet. I walked down toward the riverbank and let the air settle against my skin. The water moved slowly. Steady. Unbothered by what anyone thought it should be. My life was not perfect. But it was mine. Earned quietly. Free of that invisible ledger. I thought about that envelope my parents grabbed with so much eagerness. They thought it held access to my money. It held something much stronger. It held the first boundary I ever set without apologizing. If you have ever had to pick peace over guilt, if you have ever had to step back from the people who were supposed to love you best, I hope you hear this clearly. You are allowed to protect yourself. And if this story stayed with you, share yours in the comments and subscribe. Somewhere out there, someone needs to hear that they are not alone.